America's Most Wanted is the most successful show in television history at catching America's most dangerous fugitives.
Tonight, his luck runs out.
More than 1,100 captured thanks to your tips. And tonight, we need your help again. To bust the most ruthless fugitives on the run today, who may be living right next door to you. First, Raymond McLeod. Police say he strangled his girlfriend in a violent rage. Now on the run, he could be targeting women in your neighborhood. We need to find him tonight.
Alert the world. Get this man off the street so he doesn't strike again.
Then this couple. John and Julianne Demetrion ran a heartless scam, preying on the sick and elderly. Before fleeing, never to be heard from again.
That believed in them, that trusted them. The Demetrians stole everything.
And Sam Cross shot his daughter's boyfriend dead in broad daylight. His bullets killing 2 more people nearby.
He's destroyed my family. He has to pay for the crimes that he's done.
This alleged killer is on the loose, and we have exclusive never-before-seen video to help track him down. Tonight, you're our best shot at catching these dangerous fugitives. This is America's Most Wanted.
Welcome to America's Most Wanted. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and tonight we've got a lineup of some of the most menacing, bold, and fearless fugitives currently out there on the run. We need all the help we can get from you at home to track them down. We'll hear about each case and each crime before breaking down all the evidence to find out where they could be at this very moment. And we have new tools in our headquarters to help us, detailed AMW criminal avatars, and a fugitive tracker. And most importantly, we have our connection to you at home and the information you'll be able to send us right now from your phone through the AMW website and our hotline. Remember, you can always choose to remain anonymous, and every single tip is crucial to finding these fugitives, so don't hesitate to contact us at any point. We've been watching your reactions on social media. One of you tweeted about Michael Dent, who was just arrested days after our show aired. Wow, a tip put a criminal in custody. Good job. Just more proof that every tip matters. Go to amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS and find us online at Most Wanted on Fox. We want to hear from you. All right, now to our first case tonight. Raymond McLeod, a former Marine with a penchant for fast cars, lifting weights, and tattoos. He's been on the run since authorities say he murdered his girlfriend. There's a $25,000 reward from the U.S. Marshals for information that leads to his arrest. They consider him armed and dangerous, and we need your help to find him tonight.
Crystal was a beautiful, vivacious young lady. She was 30 years old. She was the life of the party. Crystal and I used to discuss how important it was to meet a person that appreciates children, because she has 2. She had dated a guy, and their relationship didn't end on good terms because he didn't want to break up with her.
At some point, he started to stalk Crystal, harass her. Crystal was vulnerable. Raymond McLeod came into play at that moment.
Raymond McLeod was a 32-year-old former Marine. He was an avid bodybuilder, had a variety of jobs, mostly insurance sales.
He drove a flashy sports car. He was very confident. You know, he was hot.
He was smooth. Women liked him. They would see these photos of him, of this big muscular guy. It would just lure them in. Crystal met Raymond McLeod at the apartment complex that she worked for. He was single and was looking for a new place to live.
At one point, after he signed his lease, he was in Crystal's office. She was flirting with him, and she had given him her business card. I teased her about that later.
My daughter was looking for someone she could spend the rest of her life with. She was hoping for a father figure for her children. Raymond McLeod was this former Marine. He was buff, he was built, he was there to protect her. I think that's why she decided to date him. They were dating for about 3 weeks before they went down to San Diego.
McLeod made arrangements to stay with an old buddy of his that he was in the military with. He lived with his wife and his small child.
They used Crystal's car on this trip. I texted her to take care and be safe and to let me know what's going on when she got there. She said she would, and we parted with her saying she's looking forward to the beaches.
On the trip to San Diego, June 9th of 2016, Crystal got to see who the real Raymond McLeod was.
Crystal and Raymond McLeod arrived in San Diego in the late afternoon. They had a few drinks with Mr. McLeod's acquaintances. Eventually, the host went to bed, so they went out to a bar. At the bar, there was some kind of altercation between Crystal and Raymond McLeod, and a third individual intervened, which caused a disturbance.
After the bar fight, Crystal and Raymond returned back to the apartment. There was some type of argument between the two of them.
Don't touch me! No, do it! Listen!
This was the last time Crystal was seen alive.
If you saw Raymond McLeod in San Diego or Southern California in June of 2016, call us or go to our website. Legal analyst and former prosecutor Yudit Tewolde is here, and we've used our age progression technology to create an AMW criminal avatar of Raymond McLeod. Okay. A lot of distinguishing characteristics here.
Yes, so the now 37-year-old was a bodybuilder. He was a Marine, so he's a big, muscular guy. He's about 5'11", weighing about 245 pounds, with brown hair, hazel eyes. But his tattoos is what people need to focus in on, right? Mm-hmm. A few distinguishable ones, particularly that Fallout shelter symbol you see there. Mm-hmm. Then you see on his elbow, there's a tattoo of a spider web. He's got a tattoo of flowers. And then if you veer up there, a skull tattoo.
He's also got a tattoo of a gun. I mean, there's a lot going on here with these tattoos. These would be difficult to camouflage.
Yes, absolutely. And an important note for viewers, authorities say that McLeod was last seen using a Canadian passport with the name Matt or Matthew Rodriguez. He also liked to use the name Mateo. He went by nicknames RJ and Ray. And he also liked to be called Maverick.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know he had combat training in the Marines. Did he actually spend any time in combat?
No, but he liked to tell people that he did. In fact, he was demoted before being discharged from the Marines, and that's when he went into transportation work.
Many of his fellow Marines and others describe him as a hothead. Has he had any trouble with the law before? Does he have a criminal record?
Oh, yeah. Investigators say that he was previously convicted of domestic violence against his first wife out of Phoenix, Arizona. He has a pending charge out of Riverside County, California, where he was accused of attempting to strangle his third wife. Now, that allegedly happened in April of 2016. Now, he was out on bond in that incident before he allegedly killed Crystal Mitchell, which is 2 months later.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Yudit. Investigators really need your help to find Raymond McLeod as soon as possible. Have you seen him? Any information helps. Go to amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. We also need your tips to help solve this next crime alert. The NYPD needs your help to stop a string of violent car thefts in the Bronx. Watch as the suspects get out of a blue SUV and storm into the office of G & Sons parking lot on March 9th. They point a gun at the attendant, shove him to the floor, and then tie him up. Police say they took his wallet and stole 3 cars from the lot. 2 days before, they get out of the same blue SUV and start beating a worker at Parkchester Tremont Parking. They stole money and 5 sets of keys. Maybe you recognize some of the suspects. This guy wore the same gray coat with white trim at 3 different robberies. Here's another suspect in the same red coat with fur on the hood at 2 of the incidents. If you see something or know something, call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or amwtips.com.
When we come back, Crystal Mitchell is dead, and Raymond McLeod has vanished. Authorities need your help to find him.
Get this man off the street so he doesn't strike again.
And later, this couple was living the high life at the expense of their many helpless victims. But before they could be sentenced for their crimes, they pulled off a shocking escape.
Welcome back. Now back to our first case. Raymond McCloud, a former Marine known for being muscular and hot-headed, has taken his new girlfriend, Crystal Mitchell, from Phoenix to San Diego for a weekend getaway. Neither one of them will be coming back.
The next morning, the husband and the wife got up to go to work. The husband noticed that the bedroom door was closed. He was trying to respect the privacy of his guests. When he returned home that afternoon, he noticed the door was still closed.
I woke up that morning and felt something was wrong, that my universe was rocked. Something changed and I wasn't sure what it was. So I texted Crystal to see how the trip went. No response. I knew in my heart something was wrong with my daughter.
Later that day, McCloud's buddy went to knock on the door and heard no answer. He opened the door, and that's when he discovered Crystal's body.
She appeared lifeless on the bed. He checked and did not find a pulse, so he called 911.
I knew that something was wrong. And so I texted her again and I said, please, I really need to hear from you right now.
When we first arrived on scene, there was obvious signs of a struggle. The cause of death was determined to be strangulation and blunt force trauma.
My husband texted her and said, your mom's really worried. Please reach out to her right now. Right after that, the phone rang and it was Detective Dobbs. The message was, your daughter's in a morgue.
How can Crystal be dead? I just talked to Crystal. How could Crystal be dead? And I said, what are you talking about? How did this happen? Josephine, she told me that Ray McCloud killed her.
From the first moments, Mr. McCloud was the focus of the investigation. He was the last person seen with Crystal. Crystal's car was missing, as well as Mr. McCloud. The fact that he was trying to distance himself from the crime scene further focused our attention on him as the suspect. In the early morning of June 12th, Crystal's car was found in the parking lot of the San Diego airport.
McCloud abandoned the vehicle, rented another vehicle, and fled to Mexico.
On June 13th, the car was discovered abandoned in Mazatlan, about a 1,200-mile drive south from San Diego.
A felony arrest warrant was issued for homicide for Raymond McCloud Jr.
For the first 6 months, we received several tips and leads coming in from people that thought they had seen Raymond McCloud, but eventually we stopped getting leads.
I was really frustrated that we didn't have any idea where McCloud was at. So I took matters into my own hands. I used to be a police officer and a detective, and I used to investigate these kind of cases. I had all the pictures I could gather of McCloud, and I started putting out Facebook ads. His posters started going all over the place, and tips were coming in from Mexico and everywhere.
McCloud has been able to hide until now, but we're not going to let this coward run from justice and get away with murder.
In 2017, I met a blogger from the UK who had been at the Almost Famous hostel the year before and had interacted with Raymond McCloud. That's when I discovered that he was in Livingston, Guatemala.
McCloud was using the name Matt, represented himself to be a former Marine. He was helping out around the hostel in order for him to stay there. According to the manager, he was super paranoid. This is another reason that caused him to flee the area.
There was nothing to alert her that he was a terrible person.
He's probably hanging out in the expat communities. We believe he is in Central America. Could he be anywhere? Absolutely.
We definitely need the public's help in this case. Raymond McCloud, he's a savvy guy. He knows what he's doing. He's a dangerous individual. There's a possibility he has harmed other people while he's been on the run. Because of this man, there's this beautiful young woman who has small children who are now being raised by their grandparents. The family deserves justice.
If you know where he's at, if you know anything about him, alert the world. Get this man off the street so he doesn't strike again.
Raymond McCloud was last seen in March of 2017 in Livingston, Guatemala, staying at the Almost Famous hostel. Were you there? Did you see him or have you seen him since? If so, call us or go to our website. And Paul Hulls, our cold case investigator, is here. And Paul, let's go to the fugitive tracker. We know that Raymond McCloud took Crystal's car down to the San Diego airport where he rented a car and then drove across the border.
Right, and he didn't just go right across the border. That rental car was found down in Mazatlan, Mexico. That is a 20-hour drive south. From there, authorities say he's bouncing between Mexico and Central America, being seen in Cancun, Corozal, Belize, and he was last spotted in 2017 in Livingston, Guatemala. Now, it appears that he really gravitates towards the tourist destinations, and he frequents hostels. They're cheap and full of travelers, so he blends in well.
We also know that everybody says he almost always has a girlfriend on his arm. I would think leaving a lot of potential witnesses in his wake.
Absolutely, and that's so bold because even though he's on the run, he's still out there socializing. So he is being seen. Plus, he has that explosive temper. And so it's possible he's getting into arguments or even physical fights and burning bridges wherever he's been.
Okay, thanks so much, Paul. This is a dangerous fugitive, so if you happen to see him in public, do not approach him. We're joined now by the victim's mother, Josephine Funes Wenzel, and Assistant Chief Inspector with the U.S. Marshal Service, Frankie Sanchez. Thank you both for being here. You are not just a mom, you're a former detective, and you have been working for years to try and bring Raymond McCloud to justice.
Yes.
I know you've said there's no such thing as closure, but what would it mean to you to find him?
I can close that chapter. Maybe not closure to the whole book, but just that chapter. A mother can never recover losing their child, especially in such a brutal way. It plays over and over in your head daily.
This is not a man who fades into the background. He's covered with colorful tattoos. He's a hothead. People say he likes to be the center of attention. How has he managed to evade capture?
I can only say he's very charismatic. Very charismatic, and he's got the gift of gab. I think he uses that to his advantage when he encounters people in these different countries.
You actually have a pretty big announcement to make on this case.
I do. I'd like to announce that the Marshal Service has decided to elevate this case to a top 15. It's going to be the first top 15 case with the Marshal Service that's announced at a reward of $50,000.
This has got to be good news for you.
You know, it's gives me great relief because I know that I can take a little rest knowing that it's on the top and I did my best.
You did do your best. You worked hard. If Ray was watching this show right now, what would you say to him?
You have taken a bright light from our lives. You have taken the mother of two beautiful children, and they'll never see her again. But one day you will pay for this. It's time for justice. Turn yourself in.
Josephine, thank you so much for being in here with those powerful words tonight. And as Deputy Commander Sanchez just said, Raymond McCloud has been added to the U.S. Marshal's top 15 most wanted list, and they have doubled the reward for information leading to his arrest to $50,000. It is time to bring Raymond McCloud to justice. If you have any information about him or have seen him in Central America, go to amwtips.com or call 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. Now, we need your help with another crime alert. A frightening scene in League City, Texas, where a dispute over a face mask turns violent. It happened at a Jack in the Box on March 17th at 1503 West League City Parkway. A customer came in without a face mask and was told he'd have to put one on to be served. When he refuses, the manager holds up the store's written policy and escorts him to the door. The customer starts to leave, but then turns around and charges at the manager with what seems to be a pocket knife. The manager was stabbed 3 times. Luckily, he's going to be okay. Police identified the suspect as 53-year-old James Henry Schultz. He has a gray beard and was wearing a black and red flannel long-sleeve shirt, jeans, and a camouflage hat. Police say he is a transient who is frequently seen in the area. If you recognize him or have any information on where he might be, go to amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS.
Next, This couple is accused of scamming sick and elderly homeowners out of millions of dollars before making one of the most dramatic escapes that investigators have ever seen. And later, an angry father gets revenge on his daughter's boyfriend with a gun, killing him and an innocent mother. Now he's on the run. Have you seen Sam Cross?
Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. We got a tweet from one of you out there who said, I've been saying AMW needed to come back for years. I'm so glad it's back. It's a lifelong dream of mine to help catch a fugitive. Well, we're happy to be back. And this is the show where you at home play such an important role in finding these fugitives. If you have tips about the fugitives you've seen tonight, visit our website, amwtips.com, or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. All right, on to our next case. John and Julianne Demetrion. They used their mortgage company to defraud their vulnerable victims out of everything they had, their life savings, even their homes. They used the money to buy fast cars and fund a lavish lifestyle. They pleaded guilty, but on the day of their sentencing, they vanished in an escape that was as extravagant as they were.
John and Julianne Demetrion seemed to have it all. They lived on the island of Oahu and had a mortgage company called Mortgage Alliance.
Hey you! There's a mortgage company in town I gotta tell you about.
They had designer clothes, the fanciest high-end cars, including a pair of Maseratis. But underneath all of this veneer, there was a darker side.
John and Julianne Demetrion were members of a church. They were very respected. They were looked up to. The church members looked to them to be very faithful and very involved in the church. But in reality, they were really just running a massive fraud scheme. The Demetrions went out and found people who were easily victimized. And in fact, these people were very sick. A couple of them had cancer, and because of that cancer and hospitalization and everything else, had ran into dire financial straits. And the Demetrions took advantage of that, ultimately costing those people everything.
Rosemary Dano had terminal cancer. Her and her family were in financial distress. Their home was subject to foreclosure. The Dano family was put in touch with Mortgage Alliance, the company owned by John and Julianne Demetrion. The Demetrions told them they would be able to save Rosemary's house.
This was one of several scams the Demetrions ran. While the Demetrions told these victims they were going to use the equity, they would have somebody else buy their house in order to pay off the mortgage, in reality, the victims ended up with nothing. The Demetrions pocketed and spent that money on their lavish lifestyles. Julianne Demetrion, with a background in graphic design, used her knowledge to actually fabricate mortgage applications and change things in order to perfect the fraud activities going on within Mortgage Alliance.
The Danos thought the mortgage payments were being paid. However, when they called the Demetrions, they got the runaround. In the end, Rosemary Dano was evicted. She had to spend her final days penniless in a place that was not her home. They did this to many victims, using the money they stole to fund this over-the-top lifestyle. Eventually, the FBI caught wind of what was happening. We started getting information from some of these victims. One of the victims agreed to wear a wire. She confronted John Demetrion about the scam.
Definitely, I want to clear out this, that I never declared that amount of money on a monthly basis or even that I had it in the bank. That's a big lie, and I want to come up with the truth or what the heck happened.
Honestly, you're in a really, really weird situation. The loan, however, was done legitimately. Over here, we're very cautious about what we do.
we were able to secure an indictment for their violations of various federal laws. The Dimitrians and several of their loan officers were all indicted and arrested, and they've agreed to plead guilty to the indictment.
They relinquished their passports and we seized their assets. It seemed like the end of the road for the Dimitrians. They had lost everything. There was nowhere for them to go but jail.
On the day of their sentencing, we expected them to be sentenced to prison. You can't imagine how shocked we were when they didn't show up in court.
The Dimitrians were very well known, so we assumed we would find them fairly quickly. We began a massive search for them, thinking they were likely still on the island, but they had just vanished.
It turns out John had dressed as someone having a medical emergency and was pushed by Julianne, who was dressed up as a nurse.
We learned that they weren't on that island. They had gotten thousands of miles away very quickly.
If you live on Oahu or on the Hawaiian Island in 2010 and have any information about the Dimitrians or where they are now, call us or go to our website immediately. Julianne Dimitrian is now 49 years old, 4'11", around 120 to 140 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. John is now 44 years old, 5'7", around 185 to 200 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. Yodit is back, and we know the Dimitrians were convicted before they fled. How much time were they spending in prison?
So they were already looking at spending a number of years in prison for charges that you just spoke of. They pled guilty to before they ran. Now that they've been on the run, they're looking at a fugitive charge, which carries up to 5 years in prison.
They lived a very flashy lifestyle after they stole the money and they were still living in Hawaii. Do we think they've changed, or are they still living in a way that might draw attention to themselves?
Profilers say, yes, they're still living that flashy lifestyle. These two love money. They love what it buys them, the flashy cars they love to drive, the expensive jewelry and clothes they love to wear. So it's likely that they're still involved in illegal activity to support that lifestyle, but it's also that facade that keeps them fooling others and scamming those vulnerable people.
All right, Yodit, thank you so much. And if you have any information about John or Julianne Dimitrian, the FBI is offering up to $10,000 as a reward for information that leads to their arrests. Send us your tips by going to our website, amwtips.com, or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS.
Coming up, the Dimitrians have evaded authorities for years. But how long can this couple hide? We've got more important details to help track them down. And later, Sam Cross takes the law into his own hands, hunting down his daughter's boyfriend and killing 2 innocent bystanders in the process.
Welcome back. The Dimitrians made their money and then made their escape. Heartbreaking for the victims who lost everything, but what started out as a case of fraud is about to turn into a worldwide manhunt with ties to domestic extremists. And we're counting on you, our viewers, to help bring John and Julianne Dimitrian to justice.
How on earth did John and Julianne Dimitrian, who was stripped of their belongings and property, end up on a private chartered plane out of Hawaii? The answer was shocking.
The FBI learned that John Dimitrian had made connections with an anti-government sovereign citizen group. And with that group, he had convinced them, using his financial skills, that he was qualified to be the treasurer of the new government they hoped to set up in the United States.
The danger of these sovereign citizen groups is that they believe that governments are operating illegally, and therefore they can live by their own set of rules.
The sovereign citizen group was so convinced of John's financial genius that they funded his escape from Honolulu. This is over $100,000 to get him and his wife on a private plane to fly over 3,000 miles across the Pacific.
The Dimitrians landed in Utah. From Utah, we know John and Julianne made their way to Alabama. They were left without the luxuries that they had grown accustomed to. They lived in an RV that was parked in the yard of one of the sovereignty group's leaders. They stayed in this area, which was a rural part of Alabama, for several months. The information we had was the anti-government group soon learned that John could not produce what he had promised. He did not have the financial skill that he had claimed to have. They basically kicked the Dimitrians to the curb at that point. By the time the FBI got there, they were gone.
They've been on the run for about 10 years. They've maybe gotten comfortable again. So my belief is that they would live in a large city like in LA, Las Vegas, Miami, because they need to be able to live the lifestyle that they're accustomed to. The Dimitrians went after the most vulnerable people in society. They were easy victims that believed in them, that trusted them. And the Dimitrians found them and stole everything. For the last 11 years, they've been fugitives from the FBI. I'm hoping this will finally be the time that they're caught and they're brought back to justice.
Authorities are hoping you can help find John and Julianne Dimitrian before they can swindle even more money from more unsuspecting victims. Joining us now is Deputy U.S. Marshal Dan Bodie, who worked on the case. And first of all, thank you for being with us. And you've got some breaking news for us tonight on where they were last seen. Tell us about the recent sightings.
The most recent sightings we've had have been all casino related. We had reports from Las Vegas all the way to Minnesota, so we've got quite a broad stretch of real estate in between, but both sightings have been reportedly at casinos.
Do you think they're getting any help while they're on the run, or are they just continuing to cheat people out of money to finance their run?
So they would have had a significant amount of money potentially at their disposal when they went on the run initially. Reports are as high as $1.4 million that they might have had from embezzlements. However, we were not able to determine from the FBI just how many other victims there potentially could have been, or any other sources that might have been available to them.
Deputy Bodie, thank you so much. Let's go back to our fugitive tracker now with Paul Holes. We just heard from Deputy Bodie that they've been spotted in casinos in Minneapolis and Las Vegas. Where else have they been spotted?
Well, we know that Julianne has anchor points. She has family in Massachusetts, as well as in the Philippines. And as a couple, they have ties to Australia. Now, their passports were confiscated. So the likelihood of them leaving the United States, and considering what Deputy Bodie just told us about the recent sightings in Vegas and in Minneapolis, tells me they're still here.
We also know they targeted churches in Hawaii when they swindled all those people out of all that money. Is it possible they're still doing that kind of thing on the run now?
Well, there's several possibilities. Intelligent offenders do learn from their mistakes. So the scheme that they were doing out in Hawaii, one of the primary mistakes was they stayed too long and they got caught. So I can see them still targeting churches, or possibly doing a scam with casinos, getting their money and moving on quickly before the scheme starts to unravel on them. But they are a wild card. They have that one connection to the sovereign citizen group, this anti-government group. And if they are still associating with similar groups today, they could be anywhere, because those groups are everywhere.
Right. Okay. Paul, thank you so much. And now we have a crime alert for you. Houston police need your help finding suspects in a purse snatching on the 6900 block of North Loop East. A woman leaving a bank is on her way to her car when a suspect jumps out of a white sedan and violently grabs her purse. But she wasn't letting go. Watch as she's dragged quite a few feet before the suspect is able to fully wrangle the purse away from her. While this happened, a second suspect gets out of the car and then both jump back in the sedan before it quickly speeds away. Do you recognize these two? Do you recognize this vehicle with a yellow temporary license plate? The woman believes she might have been followed to the bank and targeted by the suspects. Houston police need your help to catch them before they do it again. If you have any information, go to amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS.
Next, this man is suspected of a triple murder in broad daylight. Authorities need your help. Have you seen Sam Cross?
Welcome back. On to our next case, Sam Cross. He was known as a quiet homebody until someone wronged his daughter. And then in one short moment, his life took a violent turn. And now he's on the run, wanted after police say he killed 3 people.
My mom's name is Arleta Jimenez. She was a very caring person. She did everything for everyone. It could be the littlest thing. I was her only child, and pretty much we was best friends. With the ongoing violence that was going around in the neighborhood in Castle Hill, she feared for not only her safety, but my safety as well. She would go to work every day just to have enough money to afford to move us to a better neighborhood. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
On the morning of the 21st of June, 2018, Sam Cross took law into his own hands. Cross had been living in the Castle Hill Project section of the Bronx when he had learned that Mustafa Tarver, a male his daughter had been dating, had pistol whipped her. Cross became very angered. On June 21st, 2018, Sam Cross went to find Mr. Tarver.
The morning of the incident, my mom was coming out with her favorite diner, just getting her normal breakfast as she did every day.
Outside the diner, Sam Cross pulled out a firearm, firing one shot, hitting Mustafa Tarver in the face. Mustafa tried to run away. Sam Cross kept firing. Tarver was struck 2 more times.
In the process of shooting at Mustafa Tarver, he struck an innocent woman.
It just happened so fast. 2 of the bullets hit her in the back. Before I got to the hospital to see her, she was gone.
After the shooting, Sam Cross turned around and went back to the housing complex he originally came from.
Cross was seen in the area. A couple of days later, he went ghost and hasn't been seen since. We're looking for the public's help to try and help us locate Sam Cross.
If anybody knows where he is, I would hope that you guys would call the authorities. It's been tough. He took away the one person that meant the most to me. Every day I wake up to just remember my best friend isn't here anymore. It's hard not being able to actually speak to her or get the actual affection that I would every day normally. What you've done, you've pretty much destroyed my family. You've torn everybody apart, and honestly, I just want you to turn yourself in, just do what's right and, face justice for what you have done.
If you saw Sam Cross in June of 2018 or since then, get in touch with us. We're back again now with Paul Holes. And listen, police say he opened fire on that crowded sidewalk in the Bronx at 9:45 in the morning. Plenty of surveillance cameras around him. They say there's no doubt because of that videotape that he did it.
Oh, that's correct. But very significantly is that video shows he was not injured during the commission of the crime. Yet a few days later, he shows up at a medical clinic. Now, from my perspective, he's putting great risk to himself showing up there because he could be seen or caught. So it tells me that he might have a condition that he needs help treated.
Okay, we do know, though, if he did move, NYPD believes he went south to Charleston, as we can see in our fugitive tracker.
Well, that's right. He has a brother in Charleston, South Carolina. And so NYPD did alert Charleston PD to stay on the lookout for Cross. He also has an aunt in Savannah, Georgia, as well as a sister up in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
We know he's very close to his family. Is it possible he's just moving around to all of his family's different residences?
No, absolutely. NYPD thinks it's very possible he's never left New York City. He's very close to his granddaughter, and he likes that low-key couch surfing lifestyle. So bouncing around from one residence to another and just hanging out and hiding out, that's his thing.
And laying low. All right, Paul, thank you so much. And if you have seen Sam Cross in the Bronx, in Charleston, or in Savannah, or any place else in the last couple of years, please call us immediately. Go to amwtips.com or call 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS.
Coming up, this man has been charged with kidnapping his 17-year-old daughter, Daphne Westbrook. Authorities say she is being held against her will and fear for her safety. We desperately need your help to find her.
We need your help to find 17-year-old Daphne Westbrook. Have you seen her? The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has issued an Amber Alert for Daphne, who is 5'3", 110 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. She's been missing since October 6th of 2019, when she never returned from a weekend visit with her dad, John Westbrook. On February 23rd, a grand jury indicted John Westbrook, charging him with aggravated kidnapping in connection to Daphne's disappearance. John is 6'3", 200 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. He may have a beard. Have you seen him or Daphne? In an alarming update, detectives say Daphne is being held against her will, unable to communicate with others, and that the girl may be in danger physically and mentally. They also said her father may be using hair dye and fake teeth to hide Daphne's identity. Police just released new information. John was most recently spotted in Santa Fe, New Mexico, at Home Depot and Walmart as recently as February. Authorities also said they may be driving a red station wagon with a white hood and door. Authorities haven't given up on Daphne, and we won't either. Take one last look at them. Contact us immediately. Go to amwtips.com or call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS. Let's review the fugitives from tonight. Raymond McLeod, a former Marine who police say strangled his girlfriend Crystal Mitchell to death in 2016 in San Diego before fleeing to Mexico. Take one more look. He's muscular and has many noticeable tattoos on both of his arms. He's known to stay at hostels and tourist hotspots. And as you saw tonight, he's now considered one of the U.S. Marshal's top 15 most wanted. The reward for information that leads to his arrest has increased to $50,000. John and Julianne Demetrion, wanted for ripping off millions of dollars from trusting victims, taking their homes and oftentimes their life savings. They are still on the run tonight. They're known to flash their wealth, driving expensive cars and wearing designer clothing. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $10,000 for information leading to their arrest. And finally, Sam Cross. Police say he was a quiet homebody who killed his daughter's boyfriend along with two bystanders on a busy city sidewalk. He was last seen in the Bronx, New York in 2018. He could be in South Carolina, Georgia, or New York City. NYPD Crime Stoppers are offering up to $20,000 for information that leads to his arrest. And here is one of the cases we're working on for the next America's Most Wanted. This wannabe rapper was convicted of murdering his girlfriend, but managed to escape the day before his conviction. He is armed and dangerous and on the run. We need your help to locate this killer before he does it again. I'm Elizabeth Vargas. Thank you so much for watching us tonight. And remember, fugitives, we're coming for you.
America's Most Wanted is the most successful show in television history at catching America's most dangerous fugitives.
Tonight, his luck runs out.
More than 1,100 suspects captured because of viewer tips. Now, we are back. And we need your help again to catch the most ruthless criminals on the run today, putting people at risk every minute they're free. Tonight, you're the detective. You're our best shot at catching these fugitives. We're using incredible new crime-fighting technology and social media, connecting you to us at lightning speeds. All night, we'll be sharing new information about fugitives on the loose right now. Fugitives who may be living a double life right next door. First, Glenn Godwin, a drug kingpin and convicted murderer who broke out of prison not once, but twice.
He committed 2 murders and he has no regrets. He's a sociopath.
Next, Eugene Palmer, who cops say murdered his daughter-in-law in cold blood.
Eugene Palmer can't go on as a free man. Her family deserves justice.
And finally, Jennifer Settle, an unstable mom who abducted her own daughter.
It's been 2 years since I've seen McKenna. I just want to see my daughter again.
Do you recognize her? Tonight, America, we need your help to catch these dangerous fugitives. This is America's Most Wanted.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and I am so honored to be here tonight, hosting a show that I've watched for so many years. Because of your tips, America's Most Wanted has helped capture an incredible number of fugitives, 1,186 to be exact. And now, starting again tonight, we're going to catch even more. And we're using new technology to do it. Powerful tools that didn't exist when the show first debuted 33 years ago, like our AMW criminal avatars, using police photos and age progression technology to bring our fugitives to life. And our fugitive tracker that closely follows their every move from the scene of the crime to the most recent sightings. Plus, we have a team of expert profilers and investigators, the FBI and U.S. Marshals, all standing by to take your tips in real time. But most importantly, we have you at home, your phones, your videos, your tips. As an investigative journalist, I've covered some of the worst crime stories in America in the course of my career, and I have sat across from the tearful victims, and it is gut-wrenching. That is why I'm here tonight, to get justice for them. America's Most Wanted debuted in 1988 with John Walsh at the helm. John leaves an enormous legacy. I'm honored to follow his lead. In fact, the fugitive in our first case tonight was featured by John Walsh right here on AMW in 1988.
Glenn Godwin has escaped from California's Folsom Prison. In prison, he grew a beard and cut his hair short. Godwin may be carrying a 9mm submachine gun as well as a handgun. Now, the FBI needs your help in locating an escaped killer.
Glenn Godwin, a charming, handsome, convicted killer who escaped prison not once but twice and is still on the run as one of the FBI's most wanted. Take a look at this recreation based on actual police reports.
Glenn Godwin, Point Dickey, Frank Soto, and pilot Kim LaValle had a cocaine and marijuana smuggling operation.
Each of the fellows had a very specific role, but Glenn Godwin seemed to be the ringleader. He had this crew, and he put it all together.
This was a lucrative business. Each flight was worth roughly $100,000. So if they were doing multiple flights per week over a period of several years, we're talking about millions of dollars. Godwin was at that point only 22 years old. He resented the fact that LaValle was making more for his role as a pilot than the rest of them.
Buddy. They lured LaValle to the condo where Glenn Godwin planned to rob him and kill him. Glenn Godwin stabbed him 28 times, commenting that he just wouldn't die.
It was a particularly heinous killing. That night, the three of them pick up the body and transport it to the site at which it was exploded. The body was discovered, and he was captured fairly shortly thereafter.
How stupid it was to leave the license plate. I mean, it led him to him within hours. Glenn Godwin was tried for murder and ultimately sent to 25 to life. Godwin wound up at medium security because they didn't see him as a risk.
After Glenn Godwin's convictions were final in the Court of Appeal, he started thinking about escaping.
Godwin tried to escape and they caught him.
As a consequence of that, they sent him to Folsom, which is a maximum security facility.
Folsom Prison is an old school penitentiary. If a prisoner is not where they're supposed to be, they're fair game for the guys with the rifles up in the tower. Those guys shoot to kill.
He so wanted to escape. He wanted to get out.
Godwin was experienced enough to be able to manipulate people, both inmates and staff. His assignment was changed so that he was given access to a less secure place on the prison.
So here's Godwin, high security inmate, sees all these master plans of the prison. Something clicks in his head. Hey, I need to escape. And I see my way. Godwin tried to do a couple of escapes before and always been caught. But this one's planned out so good.
Lauren Carlick and Godwin were cellmates, and once Carlick ended up getting paroled, Godwin called with his plans to escape.
Being the smooth talker he is, so he gets his wife Shelley. The two of them worked with him on this escape plan. Everything's set up now. It's all ready to go.
Most people don't break into prison. They break out of prison.
Glenn Godwin was about to pull off one of the most daring prison escapes in history, one of the few to ever escape maximum security Folsom Prison. We'll get back to his story, but first I want to point out some important clues to help you catch him. I'm joined now by Yodit Tewolde, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney in Dallas County. Welcome to AMW.
Thank you.
Let's take a look at the last known photo of Glenn Godwin.
Okay.
It's his mugshot from 1991. He's about 30 years old here. We're going to use our special age progression technology to morph it into what we think he would look like today.
Always so amazing to see.
How accurate is this age progression technology?
It's very accurate. I mean, you have medical illustrators that created this image based on how bones and muscles of the face change over time. So notice how Godwin's skin texture is less smooth, how his nose and his ears kept growing, and how his earlobes dropped.
All right, we're going to use that age progression technology now and marry it with our state-of-the-art 3D avatar of Glenn Godwin standing next to him.
Always so lifelike.
You can learn a lot because one of the first things, he's on the tall side.
Yeah, he is. 6 feet tall to be exact. A pretty lean guy weighing anywhere between 170 and 200 pounds, according to profilers. He's 62 years old and still likely to be in pretty good shape because based on his criminal profile, he's a narcissist, right? So he still cares about what he looks like, even in his old age.
He's a good-looking guy. We know he managed to entice women in the past to help him with crimes. Do we think he's had any plastic surgery at all over the past several years?
Based on his profile, a very slim chance because profilers believe that he's too narcissistic to try and use a procedure to change or alter his looks. Maybe had a procedure or two done just to kind of keep him looking youthful.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yodit.
You got it.
Throughout the show, we're going to be bringing you breaking crime alerts from across the country. Crimes caught on camera, where we need your help to identify and capture these criminals. You're watching video of an all-female stick-up crew. If you live in Fort Worth, Texas, police need your help to identify these three ladies before they strike again. They all have masks, hoodies, and at least two of them point semi-automatic weapons at the clerk working the Quick Track convenience store. This all went down on Bryant Irvin Road in the Meadows West section. Police say they are so bold they may strike again. And tonight, detectives say if you've seen this small red Chevy sedan, some dangerous women may be inside. Here's another look at them. If you recognize that car, call us with your tips at 833-3-AMW-TIPS or send it online, amwtips.com. Remember, you can always choose to remain anonymous. When we come back, Glenn Godwin is about to break out of one of the most secure prisons in America, and you're going to see how he did it. And a dog napping spree, terrorizing pets and people. Lady Gaga's dog walker, the latest victim. We need your help catching these heartless fugitives when we come back. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Take a look at these two mugshots, both of Godwin, taken years apart. He was a man who used, manipulated, and killed to get what he wanted. Nothing was going to get in his way. Not his friends, not a dead body, and certainly not a prison sentence. You're about to see why we need him in custody as soon as possible.
Godwin has nothing to lose trying to escape because he's doing 25s a life. He wants out of Folsom Prison.
When Godwin's ex-cellmate did this, the vegetation had grown up along the river. It blocked the view of the towers, so he was pretty concealed. They put a big steel cage. He had to cut those bars. Karlik was able to work his way all the way back to 2 building. And it was just a matter of cutting the padlock.
Godwin sets his eyes on a new officer, and he says, I work over there in the visiting area. You do? He says, yeah, I do.
Hurry up.
She goes to visiting to talk to other officers. As soon as she walked in, he made his move.
That's the only time in my 48 years of being out at that prison I've heard the alarm go off.
Godwin jumped up the bank, and that's where Shelley was waiting to pick him up. And he was a young dude. He didn't want to die in prison. They made their way down to Mexico where his luck ran out.
In 1987, Godwin was arrested for drug trafficking. He did not want to go back to the United States. He did not want to go back to prison there.
We're doing everything we can to get him back. And he puts a hit in for the cartel, and they put this scheme together to get him out, escape from that prison. Ever since, they don't know where he's at.
Godwin circumvented justice. His victims have not had justice served. He's a dangerous fugitive. But ultimately, all it will take is for him to make the right mistake for us to catch him.
Glenn Godwin has now been on the run for 30 years. I want to bring in Paul Holes, former cold case investigator and part of our team here at AMW. And if you recognize Paul's name, it's because you helped catch the Golden State Killer, who was on the run for 44 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're looking at Glenn Godwin, on the run for 30 years. He may be getting sloppy, a little cocky. Show us where he's been on the fugitive tracker and where our audience members should be looking for him.
Yeah, he's initially arrested and convicted in Palm Springs. Then he's placed up at the DVI facility in Tracy, California, and then moved further north to Folsom. He escapes from the prison up there.
All right, and then he crosses the border and goes south to Mexico.
That's right. He next is seen down in Puerto Vallarta. He gets placed in a Mexican prison and then kills a fellow inmate at the order of the cartel. Many may feel that he did a favor for the cartel. Cartel doesn't think that way. He was a tool and he might be expendable.
All right, but he did that murder for the cartel, we think, to get out of prison. But now he's wanted in both Mexico and in the United States by both governments and possibly by the cartel. Where does he go?
That's right. A logical place is in Miami. He was born there. The large population allows him to blend in. He can make money doing the drug trafficking to support his lavish lifestyle.
All right. And while we have you here, we have a question for you from one of our audience members on Twitter. And it's, what major conclusions do you try to reach in the first 24 to 48 hours of a criminal investigation?
Well, 3 things. Identify the victim, determine a possible motive, and identify a pool of suspects.
And if you're doing that, you're in good shape on that investigation. All right, Paul, thanks. Don't forget to connect with us on social media at Most Wanted on Fox. But if you have any tips on any of these cases tonight, call us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to our site, amwtips.com. You can always choose to remain anonymous. And right now, I want to get to a crime alert and a growing crisis from coast to coast tonight. There's been a spree of violent dog nappings, and it's not just dangerous for the pets. In North Hollywood, California, surveillance video shows a woman and two men going into a home to see bulldog puppies for sale from an ad on Craigslist. Then it gets violent. One of the men runs off with a puppy, another busts out a window and violently shoves the homeowner. She fights back, but the man gets away with another puppy. They take off in a Dodge Charger. Take a good look at the suspects right here. Authorities arrested the woman, but the men are still on the loose. Now to another brutal attack caught on surveillance video in the Russian Hill neighborhood of San Francisco. Sarah Vorhaus was walking her 5-month-old French bulldog, Chloe. Now look at the top left of your screen. 3 men wearing hoodies and masks approach her. One has a gun. The camera is across the street, but you can see the men assaulting Sarah and stealing the puppy. They get away in a Toyota Prius driven by a 4th suspect. As you can see, Sarah was badly beaten. Her puppy is still missing. And just weeks ago, 2 suspects grabbing singer Lady Gaga's French bulldogs in Hollywood. Her dog walker and friend, Ryan Fisher, begging for his life. Moments later, Ryan is shot. The suspects took off with 2 of the dogs. Neighbors called for help.
I saw a white car with doors open, had no idea what was going on.
Ryan was rushed to the hospital. He's still recovering. The 2 dogs, Koji and Gustav, are back home with Lady Gaga, found by a Good Samaritan, while the suspects remain at large. Both are described as men in their 20s. These brazen crimes may have been motivated by money. French bulldogs and English bulldogs can have a price tag of more than $10,000 each.
When we come back, this man has had it with his daughter-in-law, and he's about to kill her. A family feud spirals out of control, and authorities are still looking. Have you seen this man? And if you live near Lake Mary, Florida, armed car thieves on the loose. This doorbell camera catching them in the act. Now, we need your help to catch them. Stay with us.
Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. In our next case tonight, an intense domestic dispute between an angry father and his soon-to-be ex-daughter-in-law ends in explosive violence after he takes matters into his own hands.
Tammy and I grew up in New York. We were 6 years apart. She had a great personality. She was always smiling, always joking around. She had a lot of friends. When she worked in the school districts, all the kids loved her. She was just a great person. When John and Tammy met, they were 16 years old. They were very young. Shortly after they had gotten married, she had her first child, Rosemary, and 3 years later, she had her son, John. She was an awesome mother, always there for her kids, no matter what.
Tammy and John lived on the same family compound owned by John's father, Eugene Palmer. The Palmer family was very close-knit off the grid. Eugene Palmer was the leader of that family, and no one was going to cross that.
So Eugene was the owner of the land, and he wanted to run things his way.
Eugene always looked mean. He always looked nasty. But Tammy respected him. Tammy was living on Eugene's property, and everybody was getting along. Eugene loved living next to the grandkids. Everything was fine, but over time, the marriage started to fall apart. John liked to drink, and he was an alcoholic. John really didn't spend time with his family, and my sister Tammy was raising the kids basically on her own. She had her suspicions about him seeing another woman. John would come home smelling like a certain perfume, and my sister Tammy knew whose perfume that was. He was mentally abusive, and then he started to get physically abusive. One night, she was afraid for her life. John was beyond drunk. Tammy called the cops. She thought she was going to die. The cops arrested John that night. Eugene was furious.
Our department made many visits to the Palmer residence to investigate domestic violence claims. John and Tammy had their issues, and it eventually involved Eugene.
That's when Eugene and my sister Tammy would have confrontations, and he started harassing her. So things were brewing and brewing. This guy is like 200-300 pounds. My sister was 5'1", 90 pounds. She was afraid of him.
John and Tammy's relationship got so bad, Tammy filed an order of protection against John. It prevented John from coming onto the property or communicating with Tammy in any way. With John unable to come to the property, which Eugene owned, Eugene was infuriated.
Eugene felt she didn't belong up there if his son wasn't allowed there. Eugene was doing everything he could to try to scare her to get off the property, but that was her home and that was her children's home.
On September 21st, 2012, the bus dropped off Tammy's daughter and Tammy's daughter's boyfriend after school. They walked up the driveway and were approached by Eugene.
He wanted the kid off the property. Eugene said if he doesn't get off the property, there's going to be problems.
Tammy saw what was happening, so she came outside, confronted Eugene. He raised his hand at her, and then she tried to defend herself.
Tammy's friend arrives to pick her up. She hears Eugene say to Tammy, "I'm going to take you down, and you'll see what you have coming to you next week."
On September 24th, Tammy walked her kid to the bus stop. On her way back, Eugene was waiting for her in the woods.
Eugene shot one time, striking her wrist. And we believe Tammy ran around the backyard to get away. Eugene approached her and fired the last shot into her.
After police say he murdered his daughter-in-law, Tammy Palmer, in cold blood, his trail goes cold. Yodit is back, and we're going to use our age progression technology, combine it with our AMW criminal avatar of Eugene Palmer. Here we are.
Yeah.
Tell me what we're looking at.
Well, we're looking at a man who's now 81. When he was last seen, he weighed around 220 pounds. He was about 5'10" and balding. And the last time he was also seen, he was rocking sort of a unique beard that some compared to Abe Lincoln's, but he could have shaved it off, so we could show the viewers what he'd look like without it.
It changes his face pretty dramatically once you see him clean shaven. We also know he was a hunter, an avid or outdoorsman, a guy who was comfortable roughing it, so to speak.
Yeah, and important information for viewers to know because his clothing would likely reflect that. He wore lots of plaids, striped button-down shirts, all-weather boots, jeans, thin-frame glasses, so really important for the viewers to know.
But just in case he has changed the way he dresses, we want our viewers to take a look at something on his left hand because he has a deformed thumb right there. Take a look.
Yeah, very noticeable lump right at the joint of the thumb. Something really important for the viewers to know because they can obviously spot that.
All right.
Yeah.
When we return, where could Eugene Palmer, an elderly man who rarely left the property upon which he grew up, hide? And we're taking your tips tonight. Keep them coming by going to our website, amwtips.com. But first, we have a crime alert coming in and another chance for you to help catch dangerous fugitives. A major manhunt tonight after what this doorbell camera caught on video in Seminole County, Florida. The people going through that car don't own it. The real owners, this family, hear someone going through the car. We're blurring the victims' faces, but you can see that they're running out to see what's going on. The scene of the crime? The villas at Chase Grove near Lake Mary. The family is outnumbered. They find thieves inside the vehicle, and at least two of them have guns. Look at one of them pointing it at them right there. The family members all run back inside as the gunmen chase them. Here's a freeze frame of one of the gunmen masked down so we can clearly see his face. It's a huge clue and a big break for all of us. Someone in the area must know him. Deputies want to get them both off the streets tonight. If you recognize them, call us right away at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to our website, amwtips.com. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. According to police reports, Eugene Palmer shattered the early morning calm with a brutal attack on his daughter-in-law. As she lay bleeding on the lawn, he set the stage for his next move, a frantic escape.
Eugene Palmer decided to take a shotgun, track Tammy Palmer, and then murder her in cold blood. One of the Palmer's neighbors heard the gunshots and called 911.
911, where's your emergency?
I heard a shot, a lot of screaming, another shot, no more screaming, and another shot.
Okay, 3 shots, and you heard screaming?
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting cars up there now.
We responded immediately to the call. Once the police arrived on scene, they immediately began to look for some kind of evidence or clues as to what happened. The police discovered a couple of shotgun shells and some blood in the area. As they scoured the scene more thoroughly, Tammy's body was found in the backyard. We realized we had a homicide investigation.
I got a white female down.
As we were searching the property for more evidence, Eugene's sister and niece came over to talk to us. They told me that Eugene had just stopped by their house, which is located across the street. He gave them a couple envelopes of money and said, "Pay my taxes." He then told them, "I just shot Tammy. Give me an hour before you call the police." Once we realized that Eugene Palmer is our main suspect, we organized a huge manhunt. Myself and several other officers began to search the wooded area adjacent to his property.
Trying to put together a search of Harriman State Park, as large as it is almost an insurmountable task. The park is over 47,000 acres. This is a massive area to search.
We searched for hours and hours in the woods, on the roadways, and came up with nothing at the end of the first day. The next day we found his vehicle, approximately an eighth of a mile away from their house. It was about 100 yards into a wooded area hidden.
Not far from the truck, police discovered a campsite.
I believe that he was picked up on that roadway where the track ended. Someone helped him escape.
My sister was a great mother. She was a great sister, daughter. She was a good person. She did not deserve what she got from Eugene at all.
Our belief is that Eugene Palmer murdered an innocent woman, and her family deserves justice.
And I want to bring in now Detective Michael Kruger, who is with the Haverstraw Police Department, which covers Stony Point, New York, where Eugene Palmer lived. And Detective, you've been on this case since the first 911 call. What does your gut tell you on where he might be hiding and whether or not he's got somebody helping him right now?
Well, I believe he's had help the entire time. I also believe that Eugene Palmer has been bouncing around different areas over the country. I know he has some ties down south, Florida area. Possibly Georgia. Right now, I believe he may be in the upstate New York region, maybe the Adirondacks, mountainous areas.
And what specific things about his character, his appearance, perhaps, might you want our viewers to be on the lookout for when looking for Eugene Palmer?
He has a deformed left thumb that's very obvious. That right there, I think, will catch him. If someone recognizes that deformed thumb.
Right, we just talked about that and pointed that out on our avatar. I'm curious, Detective, because you've been on this case for so long, what would it mean to you to finally catch Eugene Palmer?
It would mean pretty much everything. That was my first big case that as a detective. I want to bring closure to Tammy's family. I'm just upset that I couldn't find him before Tammy's mother passed away.
Well, Detective, you've put so much work into this. I hope that we can help find him for you. Thank you so much, and thanks for your work on this case. If you're living in or traveling to upstate New York, be on the lookout for Eugene Palmer, because you at home can truly make a difference. Our AMW catch counter currently stands at 1,186 fugitives captured because of your tips. Keep those tips coming by going to amwtips.com. Follow, like, and check out our pages on social media at Most Wanted on Fox. And viewer Matthew Ruskin just commented on our AMW page, "I remember the 1,000th capture and the episode when the count hit 1,000. Thanks, Matthew. We're looking forward to catching even more this time around. And we all want that number to grow. So here is another crime alert. Can you help us identify the person in this shocking video footage? Frightening images we hate to see at this self-serve car wash in Littleton, Colorado's Columbine Valley neighborhood. Watch as a man approaches this minivan at the Atlantis car wash on South Federal Circle. As soon as the wash cycle starts, the suspect makes his move. He opens the driver's door and tries to yank a 63-year-old woman from her minivan. Even though the suspect grabs her by the neck, she puts up quite a fight and won't let the suspect win without a struggle. You can see at one point the suspect bites her on the arm. He finally pulls her out and then drives away. Police have a name and a face for the suspect, but need your help to find him. He's 51-year-old Philip Michael Dent. He's 5'9" and weighs 165 pounds with short brown hair and green eyes. Take a good look at his face. Police tell us he's a transient in the Littleton and Lakewood areas of Colorado. There's a warrant out for his arrest. If you have any information, call us 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to our website, amwtips.com.
When we come back, another case you can help solve right now. Jennifer Settle lost custody and lost control, taking her daughter McKenna and skipping town, and police need your help tracking her down. Plus, have you seen these two brothers in California? They were last seen playing in their backyard 70 days ago. How you can help find them, coming up.
Welcome back. Our next story tonight is about a woman named Jennifer Settle, a mother in a bitter custody battle with her ex-husband. She's now a fugitive on the run.
Jennifer and I first met in around about the year 2005. We hit it off very well.
Jennifer and Michael were very happy. He really adored her.
Several years later, we got married. Jennifer got pregnant with McKenna very early. But after a few months, she started to change mentally.
She was very jealous and possessive. Jennifer insisted that Michael distance himself from any other female in his life.
A lot of these things are just not normal behavior, but you get sucked in because you try to do things to keep her happy.
Jennifer was very controlling. If she needed to hand something to McKenna, she would not allow me to do that. She insisted that McKenna must see it coming from her hand.
She would not allow her child to go to school. McKenna was not allowed to have any other friends. Her mother was her only friend.
I received a phone call from Jennifer announcing that she was moving herself and McKenna back to her parents in Greenville because we were running out of money and I had done nothing to provide for the family.
Jennifer convinced us that he was a danger to both her and McKenna.
She had to paint a picture of me as being abusive, as being manipulating, as being a liar. This gave her the excuse of why she'd undertaken the actions that she had. After about 2 weeks, she stopped communicating with me so I could have no interaction with my daughter.
Michael took Jennifer to court because he wanted to see his daughter. He was eventually granted visitation rights, but Jennifer was not going to have that. So the court determined that Jennifer was an unfit parent for McKenna. The judge was going to give total custody to Michael.
The Greenville County Sheriff's Office were notified that Jennifer had failed to show up at the court hearing. Based on that, an arrest warrant was issued by the family court.
She was seen several days before packing her belongings. The landlord reported that that's the last time he saw her.
She took McKenna and ran.
Witnesses reported seeing her in Oklahoma and Texas. However, I'm not sure that we can confirm that that actually was them.
It's been 2 years now since I've seen my daughter. McKenna doesn't know that she's been brainwashed and mentally abused all these years, and I wanted to protect her from that.
Jennifer has torn our family apart. She took McKenna away from all of us. It's been heartbreaking.
I just want to see my daughter again.
Yodit is back, and we've used some age progression on some of McKenna's old photos. We have an idea now of what she would look like. What should viewers look for?
Well, McKenna was 4'8" the last time she was seen. So we estimate she's about 5 foot now, weighing about 100 pounds with light brown hair. Now, keep in mind, her mother may have changed her appearance, but what folks need to be on the lookout for is a mother-daughter duo.
And speaking of the mother-daughter duo, what do we think Jennifer Settle is looking like this? She's 50 years old now?
She's 50 years old. She's small in size. She's about 5'3". She weighs about 110 pounds, light brown hair, brown eyes. She also doesn't like to wear makeup, so she's more than likely going to be barefaced.
So viewers should be looking for a mother-daughter duo.
Yes.
Mother is petite, fresh-faced most likely. You know, this all raises the question, is she getting help somehow from somebody?
You know, she's gotten financial help before from local churches, so she could be getting sort of the same assistance, or could be getting help from a more sophisticated organization, the kind that helps mother and children shelter them, hide them. And that's assuming that they don't know that she's a wanted fugitive.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Judith. Let's bring in Paul with our fugitive tracker. And Paul, I've reported on these cases for many years on these underground networks that do help hide mothers and children. If they're helping, they could be anywhere.
Well, that's correct, but if Jennifer's left to her own devices, she's going to go where she's familiar, so it's important to understand her anchor points. We know she fled from Taylor, South Carolina with McKenna, but 6 weeks prior, she was up in Baltimore, Maryland. From there, she has had past residence in Chattanooga, Tennessee, as well as out in Bakersfield, California. But she told multiple people she absolutely loved the Denver area. And this is important. Now we have a population center along the I-25 corridor from north of Denver, such as Fort Collins, to south of Colorado Springs. She could be anywhere along that corridor.
All right, so viewers living in that corridor or having been in that corridor should keep a definite lookout, or any of those other anchor points. All right, thanks so much, Paul. And McKenna's father, Michael Butcher, is joining us here in our headquarters. It's great to have you here. I'm sorry to meet you under these circumstances. It's important to note that all the experts appointed by the court, by the judge, all ruled in your favor. Jennifer's own brother and sister are helping you and support you in this bid for custody.
That's true, yes. And Jennifer's had to say that her brother and sister are also corrupt, or whatever the story that she's telling McKenna as well, because she's got to keep up this storyline that justifies her actions over these years.
It's been 2 years since you saw your daughter. If you, on the chance that she might be watching this program tonight, what would you say to McKenna to reassure her? What message do you have for her?
Well, I'd say, McKenna, that you've always had a father that loved you, despite what people have been telling you and the stories that you may have heard. I came looking for you as soon as I could. I love you, McKenna.
All right. Michael Butcher, these stories, these custody battles are heartbreaking and so hard for the children. I hope there's a resolution soon. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Reminder, Jennifer Settle loves the Denver area. If you're there, be sure to look out for her. AMW has brought home more than 40 children. If you have any information on Jennifer Settle and her daughter McKenna Butcher, contact us here at America's Most Wanted by calling us at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or by going to our website, amwtips.com. Let's bring McKenna home. When we come back, 2 young boys disappear from their own backyard, and authorities need your help to reunite them with their family. Welcome back to America's Most Wanted. Take a look at the faces of these 2 missing California boys tonight. That's 4-year-old Oren West on the left and his 3-year-old brother Orson on the right. Their adoptive parents said that the boys were last seen at their home on the 10,700 block of Aspen Avenue in California City. The 2 were playing in their fenced-in backyard when they mysteriously vanished. The reward for information that helps find the 2 boys is up to $120,000. The money is a combined effort from the extended West family, the Victory Baptist Church, California City, and local businesses. If you have seen Oren or Orson West, call us right away at 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to our website, amwtips.com. We'll be monitoring the site as well as getting your reactions on social media, like this tweet we just got. Can't wait to watch the hardest of criminals getting caught by Americans who might have heard something, seen something, and then said something and hopes to put closure to hardships of families all over the country. Thank you. Neither can we. Let's get our final look now at the criminals that are still on the run tonight. First, Glenn Godwin, wanted for murder and on the run since 1991. He's 6 feet tall, weighing about 180 pounds, with green eyes and salt and pepper hair. He was last seen in Mexico and may be living in a Latin American country. In New York, police say Eugene Palmer shot his daughter-in-law, Tammy, after a nasty family fight. He is 81 years old, around 220 pounds, and 5 feet 10 inches tall. He is an avid outdoorsman and hunter and was last seen in Stony Point, New York, and could potentially be armed and dangerous. And 50-year-old Jennifer Settle, who last was seen in South Carolina before fleeing with her daughter, McKenna. Settle is petite. She's 5'3", 110 pounds, with light brown hair and brown eyes. If you have any information, call 1-833-3-AMW-TIPS or go to amwtips.com. Coming up next week on America's Most Wanted, a woman police say killed and dismembered her boyfriend. We have new clues and we need your help. You are the ones who can bring these criminals to justice. And remember, these are dangerous fugitives. Do not approach them if you see them in public. Contact authorities immediately. Any and all information you might have helps get us one step closer to finding them. America, it's good to be back. Let's catch these guys. Good night.